Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown. I'm expecting my two co-hosts, Russell Jackman and Mike McDowd, to join me in the next segment. I'm just going to do this first 2 minutes solo here. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a trivia question. We're also, let me back up for a second. Our trivia question, this time we have a theme, famous Russians. And we'll see if our panel knows the answer to these. They will have heard at least of all these Russians. So there's nobody that nobody's ever heard of. And we're expecting in the second segment our special guest. He's been with us before, comedian Marvin Deloach, and he's a very funny guy. And he's related to sports because he was quite the high school basketball player and went on to college and is quite a tall person. So we're going to have him on also. And just recently announced no more NFL Pro Bowl, which actually I think is good. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in years. I'm still remembering when guys like Roger Staubach played, and back then it was really fun to watch because it seemed to mean something. I don't know, maybe it's because guys played harder, and guys got hurt, but for some reason they just seemed to play. Same thing with baseball. Even though I don't get necessarily hurt in baseball. It just seemed like guys really went all out. I keep thinking about Pete Rose barreling in come on, Ray Fosse. There we go. Now, unfortunately, he put him out of action for quite a bit, and Ray Fosse was never the same, but that's a famous collision. Can't remember what year it was. I want to say 1975, maybe. But anyway, go back and look at Pete Rose in the All-Star game barreling over Ray Fosse. All right, and it looks like Russell's going to be joining us here in a minute, and I'm sure that Mike will join us in the next segment, and hopefully our special guest, Marvin Deloach. Got a lot to talk about. Audience, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, and my first co-host is here, Russell Jackman. We're doing a quick show today. Hopefully, Mike McDowd, our special guest, will join us. But Russell, how are you, my friend?
So many celebrity deaths this week.
Oh, yeah.
From Dolly Parton and Tim Curry, but maybe a little bit less notified is Peter Cullen. Do you know who he was?
Name sounds familiar. You'd have to give me a hint.
The voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh.
And I didn't know this. He was also the same voice as Optimus Prime from the Transformers.
Oh.
I mean, those are two very different, voice type, characteristics. And then Leslie Parrish died.
Leslie Parrish. Remind me of who she is?
She was one of the lieutenants on Star Trek, the blonde lieutenant on Star Trek.
From the original Star Trek?
Yeah, from the original Star Trek. Really beautiful. And she was also in the Giant Spider Invasion, which was a terrible movie, but Mystery Science Theater made fun of it. And I thought, when I was a little kid, I just thought she was one of the most beautiful women in the entire universe.
How old was she?
Oh, she was like maybe in her 90s.
90s? I was going to say, was she on par with Barbara Eden?
Yes. Go look her up. Go look her up. You'll see Leslie Parrish.
Leslie Parrish.
Very beautiful lady. Very beautiful lady. Very talented, and I always had a childhood crush on her from her role in Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed her too. I wasn't a big Star Trek fan. I was more of a Lost in Space fan, but I do remember her now. Yeah, very, very beautiful woman.
I was a Lost in Space fan too. The thing about Lost in Space, just as a slight diversion, is that when they were in black and white, they took it very seriously. The first 2 seasons are very serious, and then when they went to color, they made it all into a huge joke with Dr. Smith and the robot.
Yeah, because Dr. Smith was really this, very serious evil person.
Yeah, villain. He was really like a diabolical villain, and they made him into just a complete joke.
Yeah.
Oh, the pain, Jonathan Harris. Oh, the pain, the shoe falls.
You bubble-headed ninny.
Stop the monkeys, please. Stop the monkeys. Anyway, on
Yes,
to sports. And then
let's
we
see
had
the
another
question.
death. We had another death this week. The
Who's that?
death of the Pro Bowl.
Yes, I was mentioning that in the first segment, which I'm kind of glad because I haven't gotten into it since Roger Staubach was the quarterback.
Well, that does date you pretty severely.
Yes, it does.
If
Hey,
you're
by the
talking
way,
about,
did you know? Hey, there he is, Mike. Hey, by the way, did you know Leslie
I
Parrish
wonder if
was
all
on?
All-Star games are headed
Hold
towards
on, hold on. Let
this.
me go back to Leslie Parrish for a minute. She was also on Batman. I got to look her up on that,
Yeah.
and then also on Hogan's Heroes.
Yes. Yes. So she was the
Awesome.
big character actor in that '60s time frame. You know,
Yeah.
when great television ruled the earth. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if all-star games are going to go the way of the Pro Bowl. You know, there's
Maybe.
the
Maybe.
NBA All-Star game is a huge joke.
Yeah.
And
That was there.
and people are always complaining about the baseball All-Star game. Although I think the baseball All-Star game is the one game you can play casually and not have it be a complete disaster. You know, football, obviously, you can't play that
So
casually.
Mike, not so much. I think they'll get really hurt on that one. So Mike is joining us here. I don't know if I don't know,
Yes.
I sent the invite to Marvin. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it.
Yeah,
But
he's going to be he had to bow out gracefully, but he'll join us next time.
Okay. No problem, man. No
Sorry
problem.
about that.
We
Okay.
got us. That works.
Yeah, I've got 10 topics to talk about.
10 topics.
Right.
Okay, start them off, my friend.
Well,
Well, if you're
we're
going to be
lucky if we
talking
get
about,
one.
Go
We're
ahead.
lucky if we get one.
Yeah. Russ, what were you saying?
I was going to say, if you're going to talk about Dolly Parton and Tim Curry, we already beat you to it.
You know, it's funny. You know what I loved is about the Dolly Parton that story. I mean, obviously, I don't love that she died. You don't hear anything bad about her. Doesn't matter what political aisle,
No.
doesn't matter what country. Nobody ever said anything bad about her. Good lady. Will be missed. Okay.
So
All right,
hit us
Mike,
with one of your topics.
Mike, go ahead. Are you there, Mike? Thought you were frozen.
No, I mean, I just, huh?
I thought you were frozen.
We got apparently the SEC created a rule called the anti-pro rule. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's pretty fascinating. It just came down today. And I'll tell you about it. The SEC has reportedly approved penalties for schools that bring professional athletes back into college sports. I'm not 100%. This is kind of wow. That's interesting. Like, for example,
you're not supposed to go back to college anyway. Sort of like the Olympics. Well,
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I mean, they obviously, like, for example, a coach suspension for half a season, a fine at 50% of the sport's annual budget, loss of conference voting rights. I mean, that's pretty
severe.
I guess maybe they're afraid that colleges are going to do the reverse now. Now that college athletes are getting paid, they might find ex-pro athletes that want to, quote unquote, go back to school and play for less money than what these college athletes are going to want to get paid. And they could get, you could see an undercutting of college students. There's no law that says a guy.
They've made money, in pro sports already, right?
Yeah, but there's nothing to say. If you didn't go to school someplace, you can go back and get degrees whenever you want, at any school you feel like it. Even if you graduate, from one school, you can go back to another school and get another undergraduate degree. But this would allow, Joe Flacco to go back to, Stanford or go to Stanford and sign up as a coach, as a player.
guys are, though. He's
Wouldn't want to go to
35,
Stanford.
40 years. How much playing time he's going to get?
Well, I'm just taking an example. Obviously, could be guys who are a lot younger than that. Guys that have played in the pros for 1 or 2 years, and then come back to college and are total ringers because they've got all the experience of the pros, and they still have they're still in that age range of college students, and they could really disrupt the college experience by going up against guys who have no pro experience at all. And obviously,
Sure.
pro players are going to be better than college players, right?
Sure. It's a little bit of a different game, but still, yeah, the experience that they have. Sure. That's a good
I mean,
point.
you wouldn't think it before because you'd say, well, you'd never be able to pay a pro player what they got paid from college, but now you can.
Yeah. Very interesting. So,
Got some great football games.
have they instituted the rule
San
yet,
Jose
Mike?
State at USC. Stanford's playing Hawaii. So let's see if Stanford can actually beat Hawaii this year.
Yeah, I think they get the. Did they lose by a lot last time, or was it a close game? Because I know they lost, but I don't
Oh,
remember.
no. Stanford was up and Hawaii came back and beat them.
Okay.
First game of the season last year.
I think the poor people of Hawaii have more to focus on than a football game.
Oh, with the hurricane, yeah. Hey guys, let's go to our first commercial break here. Again, the theme is famous Russians. This Tsar was terrible. Who was this famous Russian? All right. That's our trivia question. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Russell Jackman and Mike McDowd. We're talking famous Russians here. This Tsar was terrible. Who was it?
Well, they all were pretty terrible, but I had one of my first roommates in college was named Ivan.
Yes.
And that's, I think, who you're referring to.
That's
And he was a
correct.
terrible roommate.
Now, I'll tell you, one of the reasons this guy was terrible, or just to give you a little idea, when his architect had made the famous, whatever, I can't remember what's the famous architectural thing in Russia, that the big
St. Petersburg Cathedral or something?
Yeah, I think it was a cathedral, yeah. What Ivan decided to do was he didn't want this architect to make another beautiful architecture, so he gouged his eyes out.
Yeah, he blinded him. I remember that.
Yeah.
Still better than Putin, who will give you radioactive tea if he doesn't like you.
There you go. All right. Hey, okay, really quickly, let's get into I got to get.
Is this actually our first segment now?
No, this is actually our second segment. I know, Mike. Just for the audience.
Where have I been?
Well, only because we knew that you had to start a little late, and I had to get off early. I started the 2-minute one just to give a quick intro, and then went right into it. Okay, I got to give you my silly pun of the week. You ready for this? So, cosmetic surgery used to be such a taboo subject. Now you talk about Botox, nobody raises an eyebrow.
No one can.
No one can, exactly. All right, Mike, you got some more topics to cover.
Well, like I said, that SEC anti-pro rule is pretty wild. I mean, like Russell said. I mean, look, apparently, coach can get a coach can get suspended for half a season. 50% of the sports annual budget is gone. Loss of conference right. What's really interesting, I guess, the question is, where is the line between amateur and professional? Because this affects like NIL money, receiving revenue sharing.
There isn't anymore.
Negotiating endorsements, school transfers. I mean, this really is very interesting.
Maybe if they've actually played in the NFL or basketball.
But the question is, if you guys can answer, and any of our listeners who are listening coast to coast, border to border, and worldwide with our U.S. military, thank everybody listening to our great little show. What is the definition between what is the definition of a college athlete right now? You follow what I'm saying?
Well, okay, for pro, it used to be someone who got paid for their profession.
Right? That's not
For
anymore.
anymore. For college, I'd say what the definition of a college athlete is someone who goes to the college and plays in whatever sport, right? No,
But are they not a professional athlete now, essentially?
uh, that's true. Doesn't mean they can't. They're not a college one at the same time. So,
Yeah. So, anyways, it's the Wild West.
well, okay,
You
let me
know,
back up. This new rule that they're talking about. When has there been a time when someone's played, let's say, in the NFL and then gone
It
back to
has
college?
never happened. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet.
yeah.
But now that college players can get paid, there's an incentive now for pro players to go back to school and compete against college students because it's they can get paid what they would be getting paid in the pros, or arguably almost what they would be getting paid in the pros. So
Yeah.
it's not a difference between amateur and professional. It's a difference between college and professional. That's the difference.
Oh, that's a good point. Good point.
But that's not the story I wanted to talk about. I can't even believe you had a second story other than the Jed York situation.
Oh yeah.
That
Ooper.
could take up most of the segment.
Well, I guess he should have not been in a compromised position. Let's put it that way.
I mean, it's just one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen a person worth that much money make, right before a football season's about to start. If this had happened, in January, it would be a dead story by now. But the fact is, it's Mike, what do you have to say?
Well, I kind of disagree with you because you know what? This guy's got a lot of personal problems going on, and he's getting a divorce. He's very broken inside. I'm not defending what he did, but you know what? When I was a young guy, I probably did some stuff in my life that I'm not very proud about.
He's
I
not a young
didn't
guy.
do that,
He's
but
not a young guy.
let's not come down like we're all holier than thou. The dude made a mistake. Now, was it his first time to the rodeo? Probably not. Um,
It's
he
also the
needs some
time,
help.
but I don't
He
think the
needs
guy
some
really.
help. He really does. Let's have a little
Yeah,
compassion on him. He does need some serious help.
I
He
don't
has
think
the
the guy.
money to get help.
No, oh my gosh, it's almost football season. I better make sure that I don't get caught or something.
I mean,
And
listen, it's pretty desperate. I get it. It's sad. It's really sad.
The
But
49ers
I'm
are
not
in
going to sit there and
Vegas.
judge him.
The 49ers are in Vegas tonight. Could he have not waited till he got to Vegas where it's legal for him to hire a prostitute? Then there's really nothing you can do
Well,
about it.
and to Russell's point, they have definitely better looking ladies of the evening in Las Vegas. So yes, probably would have been a better move for him to jump in to go to Las Vegas and sow his oats or whatever he needs to do. It just speaks to a larger problem. The dude's got some serious. You think just because you have millions of dollars that you have it all, you don't. And this is a great demonstration. But I'm not going to sit here and beat him up because he. But then again, I just think the guy needs some counseling and a lot of
it's still
a lot of
sports. We don't
God.
have to beat him up. But it is a story to mention.
But
But
Like,
some of
but
I mean, how's it?
here's a question: is it really a story, or is it just a famous guy who got caught?
Well, that's the question. So, Russ, how does this affect the sports world?
not really at all, unless the NFL decides to fine him or suspend him. And if this divorce goes on the way that it does, if the York family decides to take the control of the team away from him and give it back to Alexandria York, who is one of the worst owners in the history of the 49ers organization.
About it.
I mean, I think that would. The 49ers have a very narrow Super Bowl window. I think everyone would agree. And to win a Super Bowl, you need everything to go right. And so far in this offseason, everything that pretty much could go wrong has gone wrong. From Pearsall being hurt right at the beginning of training camp and out for the whole season, to Shanahan getting in a weird car accident that still has almost as many questions as has answers. And then you have the owner getting busted for prostitution. You'd like to go through an off season just focused on football. And unfortunately, the Niners haven't been able to focus on football. We can only hope after they get back from Australia, they can focus.
What's the story with Kittle? Isn't he still kind of banged up?
He has been taken off the potentially unable to play list and is actually on the inactive roster, which means he could play in the first 4 games.
Well, if you guys haven't noticed, and the trend is around the NFL, 49ers, I haven't been able to watch too many preseason games, but certainly I am right here in Jacksonville, and I know Philadelphia, all the starters are not playing. They're not playing. They're just putting in the guys who are trying to make the team. Now, economically, is that a wise decision? Probably to protect the players, yes. Does it? But what it does is it hurts the fans because the fans still have to shell out those big buck ticket prices. So
True.
that's where it comes into play. And
Yeah,
a
when you
lot
buy
of NFL fans are really upset.
Yeah, when you buy season tickets, they make you buy the preseason games as well. So you have to buy those in addition to get season tickets. So a lot of season ticket owners are stuck with 3 games they really don't want to go see.
Well, they should lower the price for those tickets, for that part of it. Then, of course, they don't know at the time if they're going to be playing the starters, but they,
But an argument back the other way, Mike, is that there's so many injuries right now. The guys that you see on second and third string are going to be your starters in week 3 or 4 in a lot of cases. So, that's the way I feel as a Niner fan. I actually was paying more attention to this preseason than I have in seasons before because I'm pretty sure we're going to wind up seeing a lot of these guys later on, not sooner than later.
Yeah, and to your point, the downside about not playing players is when the season starts, they're not. I'm not saying they're not in shape, but they're not playing a lot of reps. So what typically happens is injuries happen early on. So
and it's
pay attention to that.
Yeah, no, the first couple of weeks of the regular season wind up being like weeks 4 and 5 of the preseason, and you see a lot of missed snap counts and motion penalties and illegal defensive formations and blown clock violations, stuff that you wouldn't see if they were that polished when they played with each other, but they don't. And so, you're going to see really raw play in the first couple weeks. And you're right, because they haven't really coordinated with each other and they aren't in true game shape. There are going to be, injuries, people who don't warm up enough and so forth. But then, you worry about putting guys in meaningless games and then having them get hurt for the whole season. There's been a whole peck of guys that are gone for 6 weeks or a whole season right now.
Okay. All right, guys, let's go to our next commercial break here. We're talking famous Russians. This mad monk was assassinated. What famous Russian are we talking about? This mad monk was assassinated.
Yeah, first they poisoned him, then they shot him.
Pardon me?
First they poisoned him, and when the poison didn't work, they had to shoot him.
I think that is actually correct. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd and Russell Jackman. Our second trivia question: what famous Russian was this? This mad monk was assassinated, and as Russell pointed out in the last segment, he was a poison first, but that didn't work. Who are we talking there, Russell?
There's a Boney M song that you need to listen to of Rasputin, which is a great.
That is correct.
Yeah, which is a great disco song. You need to go look up on YouTube one of these days when you have some spare time. But Rasputin is because he took advantage of the Tsar's wife's hemophilic son and said he could cure him, and the only way he could cure him is by having sex with as many women as he could, in the royal court. So yeah, he was, and apparently Rasputin smelled terribly. He never took a bath, and so he just
disgusting.
And so I wonder how those women felt. That not so good. Okay, back to sports. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, got a good topic. So the NFL is getting in bed with gambling even more. They just renewed their partnerships with DraftKings and FanDuel and Fanatics. So,
And this whole Calci
the
stuff.
NFL says the partnerships will include responsible gaming measures and restrictions involving certain types of wagers, including wagers connected to officiating and injuries. So the economic outlook is this, guys. How much money is the NFL willing to make from gambling, and where does it draw the line? I think that's a good question. In other words, has sports betting become so prominent now financially for professional sports? I mean, are they ever going to truly separate themselves again? I would say absolutely not.
No.
Too much money in it. Billions.
No, until America wisens up and realizes how much money they're losing, and until we have some really terrible scandal where the Super Bowl is proven to be completely thrown by some gambling concern. I mean, we've already we lost the World Series due to the Black Sox scandal, right?
Yeah.
And that was what 1908 or 1919. 1919. So have we learned any lessons 100 years later? The answer is no. In fact, it's easier to gamble, and it's being targeted more towards kids, which I find very disheartening.
I agree.
I mean, imagine if the White Sox scandal happened today. Heck, I mean, all they had back then was newspapers and the radio. Really. So, I mean, the media exposure was nothing. Now, if that happened today, it would be worldwide. I don't. Television was not invented.
Didn't radio come out just right after that, like in the early 1920s?
I'm not 100% sure on that. That Mr. Marconi, if I can get Mr. Marconi on the line to talk to us about that, perhaps he can give me an answer. If you guys know who he is, he's the guy that invented radio. But yeah, so I can honestly say that I'm not even sure radio was around then.
No,
so
gentlemen, that radio was around in 1886.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, but
how
much was it used though? Because
it was around. It was around during that time. But keep in mind, back then you could only bet on a game winning or losing. Okay. Now you can bet on individual players and everything they do on an entire game, from how many strikeouts they get to how many hits they get to whether they steal a base, whether they get caught out, whether they're part of a double play. You can bet on everything now. And so Calci, I wanted to bring up, I think the evilness of Calci, I think Calci is going to ruin a lot of sports as far as just being able to gamble on everything. And there's no way to police that.
I mean, can you imagine being, a base stealer and, betting on yourself to get thrown out at second, but let's say you won't steal a single base during a game. That's pretty easy to manipulate.
Or you don't bet on yourself, but you find a proxy to bet for you.
But you know what I mean. It's like, rather than saying I'll steal 5 bases, you say I'll get thrown out every time I try to steal.
Oh, sure. It's easy to control that. That's why Pete Rose was never let back into the Hall of Fame, because I know that he bet against his own team, and that's why he never admitted to it.
Okay, no, I mean, I don't doubt that, but if you say that, I mean, was there some information that came out?
Yes, no, I know it because Pete Rose never came back into the Hall of Fame. What else would they exclude him for? What else would be so awful?
Just the rules of betting on baseball, and the fact that he denied it and then he admitted it. But I mean, I don't disagree with you though. I mean, to just come and say, oh, I only bet on my team to win seems a little.
Yeah, the Major League Baseball would just probably say, oh, well, that's excusable. At least he believed in his team enough. But to say that a manager didn't believe in his own team and that he, did what he could to tip the scales his own way so that he could make money and watch his team lose so that he could profit off of it. That is the sort of thing Major League Baseball doesn't want.
It'd be interesting too is for someone to go back in time and see all the games that he managed and see what kind of decisions he made that people would go, what? Why would you take your pitcher out then? Or why would you put that starter versus or a pinch hitter? So yeah, that might be a little bit easier to prove. But go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and listen, another topic I think you guys will really enjoy, or at least it'll make us think a little bit. But really, the future of sports and television is changing. And what am I talking about? So leagues are going to be obviously they're going towards the multiple flat platforms, streaming, direct to consumer and fan data. So in other words, apparently this group PCW's 2026 Sports Outlook specifically points towards leagues increasing and exploring partnerships involving ownership, distribution, fan data, and direct to consumer subscription. So the question is, come 2030, who's going to control the sports media? Is it going to be the leagues, the networks, or the streaming companies?
Well, it's going to draw.
Any thoughts on that? I mean, listen, that's pretty. That means like
it's going to drive me crazy if they suddenly say, you got to, like what they did. I think you had to sign up for Peacock or something to see.
Right.
Bills.
Or you got to go to Apple.
Or Apple or something. That is
well,
the
49ers game from Australia is on Netflix only.
Well, I mean, all it does is price out the normal guy, right?
Yeah. Or you have to, because especially if you have to have like 5 different services,
Right.
Well, as I told you, I think there's going to be baseball will be on 162 different stations, next, in a couple of years. And you have to buy subscriptions to all 162, and then soon it'll be like per pitch. You'll have to go and pay for, you'll have to.
I mean, you're going to end up losing the audience, and then it'll be really difficult to get them back. I mean, do you remember when the baseball strike of 1994? That put a lot of us who were baseball fans, we got so frustrated that it took, I think, an extra year or 2 to bring.
Yeah, Edward, my story on that was I drove across the country in 1994, and my one chance to see a game at Wrigley Field live. I have a picture of my brother and myself standing in the middle of the field with our heads bowed down and pointing to the logo. And there would have been a Mets game. There would have been Cubs versus Mets that we would have been able to go to see, but we couldn't see because they were on strike. So, yes, I fully remember 1994 and my only chance to see a game live at Wrigley Field.
And what kind of impact did that have on you for baseball?
I'm still a baseball fan, but then again, I didn't care much about baseball for a couple of years and then got dragged into it when the Mark McGwire, Sosa, then Barry Bonds home run contract happened. They're not going to have one of those anymore. They're not going to be able to pump everybody full of steroids, get everyone to watch and pay attention to it like they did. If there's a lockout this year, and if gambling takes hold and pay-per-views are all over the place and people have to, pay per inning to see a baseball game, I don't think that people are going to want to do it. They're just going to go away and find something else. There are other things to pay attention to these days. And that's one thing is that in 1919, baseball was it. It was the sport for everyone to pay attention to. Even with the gambling scandal.
That and boxing, because football hadn't gotten off the ground until 1920.
Right. Now you have so many other distractions and so many other things people could pay attention to. If they feel that what they're watching isn't genuine or it's way too expensive to stay with, then people are going to just say, I'm going somewhere else or watching something else. I mean, I went to a minor league baseball game this year instead of going to the Giants because the Giants, who gave up a 6-run, 9-inning lead last night. Yeah, exactly. Thumbs up. Something that hadn't been done since 1901, Michael.
Really?
Even you don't go back to 1901.
Wait, are you for the Giants or just in general? It has to be just for the Giants.
Just for the Giants.
It's okay.
The Giants as a franchise.
I mean, they were so bad in the late 1970s. I would have thought that would have happened every other night. Of course,
Had not.
They had a 6-run lead.
I mean, it takes a lot to give up a 6-run lead, and I watched it while it happened, and it just it's so discouraging to be a fan of a team that's as incompetent as the Giants. The only thing that needs to happen now is Vitello and Buster need to be put on the injured reserve. They're the only two original people from this season that haven't gotten hurt. So, might as well put them on IR and just be done with it.
All right, guys, we have 1 more minute before we have to go to break. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, did we really expect much with the San Francisco Giants? First of all, they brought in a skipper who was a former University of Tennessee coach. That's A. I'm all for him. I want him to succeed. Then B, if you're not spending big bucks, big dollars, then you're not going to win. You got to have players. You got to have horses. And the Giants don't do that. And until that changes, it's going to be the same revolving door over and over.
But they're playing terribly. They invested money in players like Devers and Adames and Chung Ho Lee, and they're not producing anything, or they're all hurt.
Well, guys get hurt. That's kind of tough. Go ahead, Mike.
Do we have another segment left, or are we done?
We pretty much have just our little outro.
So just remember, guys. I know I'd love to get your thoughts. We've got a ton of college football. This is college football is really dominant in most of the country. High school football starts. It's huge. The games on ESPN. You can watch like Bishop Gorman out of Vegas play a team out here. Mater Day in LA playing teams from Alabama. It's pretty exciting stuff. But I don't know. USC, San Jose State, Stanford, as we mentioned, playing Hawaii, North Carolina, TCU, and Dublin. Does anybody care? Do you guys care?
Not as much, but
okay. All right.
Okay, guys. Here's our last trivia question. Ready? Who is the author of War and Peace? Famous Russian. All right. Stay with us, audience. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back.
Look that up.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question, we're talking famous Russians. Who is the author of War and Peace? Mike, let's see if you know the answer to this one.
I don't know it.
Come on, Mike.
You should know. Mike, it's a famous mushroom.
Jack London.
Not really. Go ahead. Russell, give us the answer. Tolstoy, yes. Toadstool.
I read it.
Of course. How missing me?
Tolstoy, yes. And in the Seinfeld
like
episode, instead of War and Peace, it was going to be war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
My mom thought that was so funny. My mom thought that episode was so funny. She thought it was one of the funniest episodes on TV. She loved it. So it's funny that you bring that up because it reminds me of my mom.
Very good.
Like we love Dolly Parton, the great Dolly Parton.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about her. Yeah, she was great. Very, very funny lady. Very funny lady too. All right, guys, here's our thoughts for the day. So I got my COVID test today and it said 50. What does that mean? But also my IQ test came back positive. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. And a wise old Chinese man once told me, son, when you understand why pizza is round, put in a square box, and eaten in triangles, only then will you understand women. Not true.
Okay.
You think about it. Pizza's round,
True.
You put it in a square box, and then
when they're hot, they're great. When they're cold, it's not worth the trouble.
There you go. Yes, Mike.
Have you seen our friends at Mountain Mike's Pizza lately? Are they going to come on our show again and be a credible sponsor?
They will come on pretty soon again. Interestingly enough, for TV though, we record this for TV too, and the TV programs basically say we're not supposed to do any hype for commercials. So that's why we have the commercial, but we don't just say it for TV. But audience, with that though, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Double pepperoni.
Adios.